Hey guys, welcome back to Secret Sonics. I'm your host, Ben Wallach. I thought I would do a brief monologue about all my thoughts and feelings about the COVID-19 coronavirus situation happening in the world. It just seems like something that needed to be done. The world is gone crazy over the last few weeks, and things have obviously escalated exponentially, every few days. It's getting nuts. And I wanted to give you guys a couple of my thoughts, and just tell you how I'm feeling, things I'm thinking about, tips to stay productive, and all kinds of stuff that you could do. And I thought also I did like a live Facebook Q&A recently, last week, about recording in your home studio or your home and trying to turn it into a studio, that kind of thing. So I'll include that in this episode after my monologue. So it'll be kind of like a COVID-19 / Facebook Live QA episode. But let's just talk about, the situation that's happening. And, it's just crazy. Like, matter of like weeks, the entire world just shut down. And if you're missing out on work, you're like lucky. Just missing out on work is like not a big deal. So many people are ill, and people are dying, people are recovering. I actually have family members and one really good friend that have the illness right now. My wife's boss has the illness right now. So people are having various levels of symptoms. But it's real. It's affecting my life already, and I'm sure it's going to be affecting so many people's lives in the coming days, weeks, months. So hopefully people will listen to the protocol, stay indoors, stay inside rather, avoid, and social distancing. It's so important. The reason why it's important is because there's not enough beds and there's not enough ventilators, and in order for people to to get the medical treatment they actually need, we're going to need to slow down the spread of this virus. I'm sure you all know this, and I'm probably just preaching to the choir, but ignore the conspiracy theorists that think that let's just get this over with and everyone's going to get it and people are going to die. Like, no, we really need to try to slow this down as much as possible so that fewer people die, because it's a much less deadly disease. It's a much less deadly disease when we have enough ventilators and we have enough beds and we have enough doctors. So let's try to slow this down, stay home. Pour yourself lots of cups of coffee, get your groceries delivered if you can. That's what we're doing. And, hunker down, and we're going to get through this. Eventually, the world is going to move past this. It'll be a glorious day when we do. But until then, we have to, spend this time, and we have to spend it, I think it's good to spend it wisely. Might as well, if you're hunkered down in your home and you're social distancing or self-quarantining and isolating in yourself. Let's make the most of this time. So I'll just talk about things that I've kind of thought about, realized I've been doing, and I'll get into that. So let's just start with that. So yeah, for me, I guess it's funny. Like, I'm a bit of a homebody. Me and my family is we're homebodies, me and my wife and my son. And I don't know about my son. He doesn't have an opinion. He's only 1.5, not even. But me and my wife were talking about it this weekend, how it's like, there's never a good time for a world disaster, pandemic. But if there had to have been a good time in our lives specifically, it's now. Meaning, it's just 3 of us. Our son's still pretty young. He's not walking yet. So, our family is easily contained within, the walls of our apartment. Where we're old enough. I don't know. At least for now, we seem to have. Well, my wife has a steady job for now, and I'm. Obviously business has, decreased, but I'm sure that, I don't know, it's interesting. I guess I could talk about my business, but all things considered, it's the best time it could have happened to our family. But, obviously not trying to put anything, try to lessen the importance of people that are ill and how serious this pandemic is. But, in terms of my own business, it's funny. It's I'm telling people, first of all, I'm really lucky. I have enough money in the bank to get us through a few months, assuming, so we don't know how long this is going to take, right? So if I'm assuming that if it's 3 months, I don't look at my business as, a monthly, like a weekly thing, a monthly thing. I look at it as a whole year. Like, how did I do over the year? Because there's always, there's the business, of being in music production, recording, mixing, all these things. Anybody who's freelance, really, there's ups and there's downs, right? Like, you have like crazy periods where you don't stop working, and then you have periods where like nothing's coming in. Like this year and last year, February were relatively slow months, right? I had a crazy, like October through January were absolutely bonkers. I was working constantly. So, the business ebbs and flows, basically, is what I'm trying to say. And so I am sure that if at least I'm in Israel, so I have a feeling that Israel's going to be able to contain this faster than, let's say, the United States or maybe Great Britain, because it's just a much smaller country. There's very few in and out from the country. It's basically just our airport, which is, basically shut down at this point. So assuming Israel can contain this within a few months, I'm assuming that I'm just going to have a really crazy last 6 months of the year, right? And the year will actually look exactly the same, meaning, January, February were normal, March through June will be like very, very slow, and then July till the end of the year will be extremely busy. And I'll just compensate for the fact that there was like zero work these 3 months. If it takes longer, then we might be in trouble. Let's hope it doesn't take that long. But who knows? Like, honestly, it could take, it's going to take out as long as it's going to take. And, I'm mentally prepared for that. I don't know if everybody is. Like, I think people that are like waiting for it to be over already are in a not good situation. I think mentally you have to put yourself in a place of like, this could take a very long time, and I am going to own the situation I'm in so that I'm not just like waiting for it to be over. Because if you're just waiting for it to be over, I've been in that headspace, let's say, particularly when I was in the Israeli army. That was a very difficult time for me. And I was like, I just want to get out. I want to be over with this. I don't know when this is going to end. Like, it's not a healthy place to be, psychologically speaking. So I'm very much, luckily I'm a homebody. If I wasn't a homebody, I might not be saying this. Like, I like being home. I luckily moved my studio into our home like 3 months ago, and that had nothing to do with any of this, and it's just like super lucky. I'm able to work, in this, in the same apartment that I'm not leaving. So, but yeah, it's going to take as long as it's going to take. And I think the most important thing you can do, psychologically speaking, is just accept that and just own the new reality. And so, like, it's funny. It's like I'm like 3 weeks into basically self-isolating, and it's starting to feel like a new routine. The first week was the hardest, just getting used to watching my son all day, and then like just squeezing in like little bits of work, not even that much at night. And now it seems like we're starting to find our groove, and it just feels like the new reality, which is so interesting. And I'm like, except for what's happening in the news and everything, like on a day-to-day basis, it's like, it's a little inconvenient, but it's okay, So, I guess here's some of my silver linings that I've found for just being home all the time is, first of all, like having the time to just kind of, also because I'm not working as much, to just make meals for my family. Like we're cooking more than ever, cleaning up quickly. We're just getting in these like healthy routines that we never had, because we're always like rushing to do this, rushing to do that, and then you don't properly cook. And like my stomach feels better than it's ever felt, like, because I'm eating like so much better, just making real meals and serving it and rationing it, and like, based on what we have in the house, trying to be sustainable with what the foods we made. Oh, we have leftover this, let's eat that now, and let's combine it with something else, and just kind of meal prepping and being like way more holistic with the way we're eating. And that's been like a really cool silver lining. The other silver lining is obvious. It's just like spending quality time all the time with my family. No one's leaving the house, so everyone's like, I don't know, like we send our son to daycare usually, and it's like now we get to see him all day, every day, and just see how he develops so quickly, and that's beautiful. And so that's like really, that's been fun. In terms of like the studio work, I'm really still working on setting up a routine and kind of like switching off working with my wife during the daytime and then coming in again a little bit in the evening. I've been maintaining the podcast, which is like very important for me because I want to just keep this going. Might as well like dig into the content creation. I think if anything, now's a great time to do that. We'll see. I put out an advertisement like on Facebook and on Instagram saying, hashtag stay home, music production services. So I'm offering, remote mixing, production critiques, Skype, one-on-one consultations, anything like that. So I'm just trying to stay top of mind, do things that, will help maybe get a little bit of, business through the doors, or not through the doors, but through the computer screen, really, because everything is virtual now. So we'll see how that goes. So I guess the thing I wanted to talk about, like on a more holistic, like global level in terms of silver linings, is just like the world finally sees how interconnected it really is, how quickly this thing spread. Everyone is constantly flying all over the place, traveling. The whole world is basically, I think if we realize one thing, it's that we are one humanity, one earth. It sounds cheesy when I say it like that, but like, it's not just your country. Everyone, is has their hands in everybody else's business. Like we're all interconnected basically. And, at least on an environmental level, I hope this leads to progress. I think like people are going to realize like, oh, we only have one spaceship, it's Earth, and we're all dependent on one another. And I'm hoping that there'll be some environmental, changes. Obviously, like just the fact that there's no airplanes in the sky or nearly as many people driving to work and stuff is hopefully helping the environment. And I think that will prove the science to the few naysayers that left about global warming, that stuff is happening. Sorry to get a little political here. But I think this is going to be good for I don't know. It's interesting. I've often thought to myself, like this whole crazy production cycle of humanity, just like gotta produce, like everyone going to work, everyone doing stuff, like, can it ever stop? Will it ever stop? And it took a virus and it stopped. Like I never thought this would happen. Like I always thought there'd be I don't know, ecological breakdown or something that would cause like the world to kind of stop in its feet. But no, it's like this virus. And this is not to what's the word? Not to take away from how serious this virus is, but this virus is, all things considered, something that could actually stop humanity in its tracks for a second, relatively benign. And I just hope that humanity can figure out ways to move forward in a way that's more sustainable for humanity, in a way that's more sustainable for the planet, and this whole production cycle can just slow down and people can take it a little bit easier, and this capitalistic snowball can kind of just breathe for a second, and let's let the planet breathe, and let's let humanity breathe, and the things that we think are so important aren't as important as we think they are, and I don't know, just kind of hippy dippy stuff. But there's just those thoughts I have occasionally, and it's just funny to see it in this context coming to fruition, so to speak. I've also obviously seen way too many Walking Dead episodes that I obviously think about how's the world gonna end? What's gonna happen? Stupid things. But I really think this is the gentlest way for, I guess, the planet, a higher being, God, whatever you want to call it, to give humanity a gentle what's the word in English? In Yiddish, it's pach, a little slap on the cheeks, and be like, hey, wake up, do things that are good for each other. I don't know. Sorry if I'm going into a direction that people don't want to hear. If you don't want to hear it, you could shut this episode off. There's no worries with that. I'm just ranting about my thoughts about everything here. Anyways, yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see what air travel is going to be like. What business is like after this. Will the stock market, I guess the stock market will eventually go back, right? I don't know. They say now's a good time to invest if you have some money when the stock market's completely not doing well. I don't want to get into politics or anything like that, but anyways, I guess my last point would be if you're a musician or a music producer stuck at home, how can you make the most of this and make amazing make music and make stuff? So I guess the first point would be just set yourself a schedule. Scheduling works. People that just when I'm inspired, I'll go in. Don't really create nearly as much as people that actually, take time to do it. The other thing figure out use what you have to make your space as creative, give you as much inspiration as possible. Maybe you can paint, maybe you can move things around. Maybe you want to move some blankets and stuff to make it acoustically treated and sound a little better. Just get a vibe going in the room that you're working in, and like really that's it. You got to just like open up the computer, open up, play guitar, just like get in front of your instruments and the things that help you be creative as often as you can. And I think that will be good.